In here we have essentially two different kinds of light. Not lights, but kinds of light. I'm not referring to color, because all of these lights are balanced for daylight or tungsten. They're all exactly the same color. What I'm referring to is whether or not it's hard light or it's soft light. Now, hard light you can think of as light that comes from our bulb, or if we had strobes, it would be from the strobes. But it comes directly from the strobes. The photons travel straight to our subject and then back into our camera. Very straight lines. That's very hard light. Soft light, on the other hand, is stuff where light is traveling and bouncing all around everywhere. So we can see that by this light here. This light is small. It's very point source. Okay? And we can see my shadow. My shadow is very crisp and clear. You can see everything in here. If we were to photograph my hand for some reason, my hand, you would see all the details of my hand. You would see all the nooks and crannies. The image would be very, very sharp. Now, on the other hand, if I turn on this light, which is very, very soft, and turn on this, we see that I almost have no shadow. You cannot distinguish my fingers. So what happens with the soft light, with the light bouncing all around everywhere, is that we're going to smooth out the complexion of our subject. We're not going to see every little nook and cranny of their face like you would my hand. And then there's light everything in between. A lot of professional photographers like to use what's called a beauty dish, which is essentially just a parabolic dish. And there's kind of a stopper where the light kind of reflects around in it. What it does is it creates a very hard light in the center, and then it kind of tapers off softly on the edges. And a lot of professional photographers really like to use the beauty dish. So a little bit more about the light is, real fast, we have a three-point lighting, typical three-point lighting setup here. We have our key light, which you guys will be moving around. And I'll talk about that in just a second. We have a fill light, which I'm bouncing off the ceiling. And you'll notice that the light coming from there, if I pointed it straight at Joseph here, it would be this small. But since I'm bouncing it off the ceiling, look at it, it's this big. So I'm scattering the light, I'm creating a larger light source, which gives me softer light. Now this light, I am losing some light in that process, but that's okay, because this light, all I need it to do is just fill in some of the shadows a little bit. This light is going to be my primary light source. And then of course the third light that we have is going to help us separate the background from Joseph here, so that there's some depth in that photo. Photographers are always looking at creating, we want a two-dimensional space to look very three-dimensional. So by that third light helps us separate the background and our foreground.